Hey guys, welcome back to another one of our HiFlyer digital webinars. My name is Isaac Hyman. I'm going to be your host today, and we're talking all about our email, SMS, and retention strategy roadmap for 2025. We're live now. We're going to be talking all about how to plan out an entire year's worth of email, SMS, and retention strategy in literally aim for about 60 minutes. So I'm excited to dive into this because it's such a critical time of year to start thinking about it. And I'm going to be sharing with you exactly why it's critical to think about it right now at this moment and really how to do it, get it off your chest before the holiday season, right? The holidays are coming up in a couple of weeks. If you're on this webinar, which we literally have a record amount of signups for this roadmap webinar and also our email and SMS masterclass, which happens in January. These are our two biggest webinars. Surprisingly, Black Friday I thought would be even bigger, but this is the biggest time when brands are starting to plan out 2025, and I'm going to help you do that together. So let me just confirm we are live in all locations and we are set to go. So let's jump right in. So again, if you have any questions, I see some questions coming in to our feed. So yes, I will say this webinar will be recorded. Everything will be covered and you will get a recording and you'll actually get some bonus stuff as well. So feel free to put any questions you have in this comment section or drop a comment into the chat. So let's jump right in. Let me talk about what you'll take away from today. A little bit of a different format of our webinars in preparation for 2025. We have some great branding, a great expert team on design. So they're doing a great job. What do you take away from today? We're going to get a 2025 strategy done for you in about half the time. Okay. Half the time means, again, proven frameworks, zero guesswork. I'll share with you. I've done this at the 10-figure brands, multiple 9 and 10-figure brands. I'm going to show you how to get it done pretty quickly. I'm going to show you how the top brands plan their year in advance, and also how to reduce your churn and improve your retention and profits. Biggest pain point for brands. How do I maintain a profitable advantage here? I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to also share with you how to implement quarterly goals and strategies to go from crawl to fly, right? Crawl, walk, run, fly. And really, you'll think about it all year long, right? It'll be like phase 1 is this, phase 2 is this, and you're slowly escalating to the point where in Q4, well, you're almost on autopilot, right? So that's gonna be our goal. And then also, I'm going to set your business up to scale around by 300% within about 12 months. Okay, this is proven by the results I've seen from the brands I've worked with. And the cool thing is that it's seeing it from brands that are 6 figures and brands that are 10 figures. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean in a second. But that's the goals you will hopefully be able to take away from today. Who is this playbook for? Who is this roadmap webinar for exactly? So if you're on this, you're probably in the range of about 7 or 8-figure retailer or a brand, DTC brand looking to get more profits in 2025. I came from some of the top retailers, so I tend to focus. We have a good specialty in retailers, a good specialty in DTC brands as well, who also want to go into retail. And that's pretty much where everyone wants to scale too, right? We have some beauty brands on our roster where they want to sell in Sephora. You need to understand the mindset there too. So this is also for 7 to 8-figure DTC brands who want to scale to 8 or 9 figures, right? You want to kind of get to the next level, and you need to know there's a better way, right? So this is also for founders or CEOs who know that there's a better way, right? I've been taught one way the entire year, and maybe it took off, or maybe it didn't. But there's a better way. You're sensing it, right? You kind of feel it. That's kind of who this webinar is for. It's for CMOs who want to improve customer lifetime value and migrations, meaning you want to get customers to go from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4 consistently, right? And not just have to continually guess. And it really is for serious brands who just want to break free from the hamster wheel of running ads all the time or being on social media all the time. And those are all good things, but it's constantly a hamster wheel. You're constantly chasing the next creative, the next ad. Let's get some consistency into your mind and profitability and scalability into your process. So that's who this is for. Hopefully if you're watching this, you're one of those brands. If you stay to the very end, what I always provide is our massive portfolio of content. I'm about to drop something new too as well on this webinar. If you stay to the very end, I have about $12,000 worth of content available for your brand to help you accelerate, again, proven frameworks, zero guesswork, and this will be very helpful to you. Obviously, our Black Friday playbook is a really strong one. Black Friday's in the books, but it's great for next year as well. I have a whole portfolio of content available. I always recommend check out my proven 10-figure email SMS retention strategy, right? You can take the book and learn it, right? It's right here, a 330-page email SMS playbook, the ultimate e-commerce email SMS playbook. Hopefully you can see it on the screen, a little small. It's a 330-page playbook for you, right? Take it, learn it, understand the philosophy. And then we also have my masterclass, Mach 10 Masterclass, where you can implement it. I'll show you how to implement a good portion of it. Obviously, it's not the same as me doing it for you, but you can implement it too. So learn it and implement it. Those are the top things that you should be taking away as well. But new for 2025, I want to share this with you guys right now. We just created our 2025 customer retention playbook. I have a kind of a printed copy right now. It's going to be collated into a book or a handbook of some sort, maybe not as thick as the real book, but yeah, customer retention playbook, right? How to keep churn from killing your profits and bankrupting your brand in 2024, right? It's been bankrupting a lot of brands, and how to do it, how to prevent it from happening in 2025. It's all inside the playbook, right? I'm going to give you a little sneak peek right now because we are planning ahead for 2025, but I think this is going to be very helpful for you to kind of take into your mindset now while you're planning out your retention strategy right now. So that's going to be a great new addition. Super excited to have that added to our content library. Now, a little bit about me, just to know who I am, why am I here, what am I presenting, what's my expertise. I was the VP of retention for 6 10-figure brands, 6, 9, and 10-figure brands. They're in that range right there. I've managed customer files of over 20 million plus. That means email lists and customer lists that were just massive amount of revenue potential. And I figured out how to unlock the potential of that list. At the end of the day, you have a list. It's not about the size of the list. It's about the relationship you have to the list. And the list I had happened to be very big. So I got a lot of good testing and insights from that I then bring to smaller brands. I wrote a book on it, and I just shared that with you. I've been a guest speaker at eTail, Post Funnel Summit, Blue Core Summit, multiple different vendor relationships from retention.com, Maple, you name it. I've been invited as a guest speaker, worked with 110 plus e-commerce brands. And my biggest claim to fame here is that I've been on your side of the table. I know exactly what you're going through, all the retention challenges, the email execution challenges, the SMS, avoidance challenges, all these things I've been dealing with. I've been on your side of the table. I've been, hiring people. I've fired people. I've worked with, been burned by people, right? So there's a lot of insights I come from that say, like, I've been on your side of the table. I know what you're going through, right? I was the VP of retention. I had to answer to bosses, customers, you name it. And so I'm very sympathetic to what your challenges are, and I'm going to show you how to break free from it as well. So let's go into it pretty quickly. I go through the slides quickly, even though there's a lot of bullet points that just kind of summarize it. Well, let me tell you why having no plan for email SMS retention really, really sucks. I ran a team of about 5+ employees, went up to about 7 at some point, and an agency I was working with. And we were just stuck in the weeds day to day to day. Can't break free, day-to-day campaigns, right? You ever get that in that mindset and that cycle? Like, what are we sending today? What are we sending tomorrow? What are we sending next week, right? Just mindless, kind of every single day, the same thing. And it's not replicable, right? You can't replicate it next month. I can't replicate Black Friday in January. It's not going to happen. So what do, right? And we just fell backwards. It just consistently fell backwards. And at some point, you just spray and pray, blast it out to the list, send to the full list, spray and pray. Well, that just burns your list, right? And that's why revenue barely trickled in. Revenue grew maybe 5% year over year, not much, right? But customer churn and unsubscribes were growing too, right? When you spray and pray, batch and blast, it doesn't really work too well. On top of that, you always have constant shiny new object syndrome. Now, I didn't have the chat GPTs of the world back then. I had a different type of AI back in 2015, 2016, 2017. But now, every single day, there's a new shiny new object that distracts us. It doesn't keep us on track, right? So there was this constant distraction. And my epiphany was when I said, let's set out a plan. Let's set up monthly goals that would help us hit our milestones and benchmarks, right? Help us hit good milestones and ensure that we have a better relationship with our list. So my goal for you is to do the heavy lifting in the first half of the year and then put it on cruise control for the second half, right? That's the goal of it, right? Do a lot of the work in the first half, cruise control second half. And now that's where clients and brands are growing by 300% year over year. even clients that have been with us for years have just grown consistently, even another 40%, another 50%, just because there's constantly improvement. And it just really works really well. So that's why having a plan having no plan sucks. Having a plan is amazing, perfect, works really well. But why do brands fail to plan it out, right? If you kind of know it's important, why don't you fail it out? Well, number one, there's no time in the day, unimaginable time constraints. You're unsure what the potential could be. You don't know what the potential is. You have no metrics. You don't know what you don't know, right? And maybe you're obsessed with vanity metrics. Oh, let's focus on the clicks and the opens instead of actual conversions or lifetime value or anything else, right? Or just, business health or profit. And you're trying to hold on to customer control at the same time. I'm going to show you how to actually build a relationship with your customers in a better way so you can actually release that control. But the number one reason, and I've asked this and surveyed and heard from hundreds and hundreds of brands that have said the same thing, the number one reason that's holding them back from a plan, which I can testify to as well as a VP of retention, the number one thing holding you back is that you don't have a true expert or strategist to help you implement, right? A plan is great, but if you don't have the tools to implement, you're just sitting back. And two of the biggest challenges, which I'm going to talk more about later, you're mainly hiring freelancers who are just kind of like, do what you tell them to do. They're entry level. They don't know how to a whole big picture strategy and how to bring a high level strategy down to eye level. And they're a dime a dozen, right? Everyone does something. Maybe you're hiring a freelancer, or maybe you're working with an email marketing expert, which in their minds, they make everything about email instead of customer retention, right? It's not just about sending the next email or doing the next email or doing this next email. It's about how do we keep customers long-term and build a relationship with them, right? So between those two, in fact, they're willing to burn your list just to send more. You ever hear that in your feeds and your socials? Send more, send more. There's a better way, right? I know there's a better way. So you're kind of held back by the freelancer or the glorified specialist who calls themselves an email marketer. So you really need a true retention expert to help you take the plan, take a high-level strategy, bring it down to eye level, and implement it on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis to help you get there. So now that you know what's holding you back, here are the advantages of having that plan, right? You're able to break free from day-to-day weeds. Remember we said, not just the next email, not just the next campaign. We want to have a plan. We want to have a strategy, keep customers long-term and buying more often and keeping that relationship strong. You're focused on retention goals, not just sending emails. You're actually making data-driven decisions. You have data to back up what you're thinking. I always say we all have opinions. I have an opinion. Your brand has an opinion, but data is the tiebreaker. But if you don't have the data, we're all just going on opinions, right? So data-driven decisions is key. You're able to shoot for the stars and settle for the moon, right? You're able to go deep, high-level strategy, and it's okay. Instead of going to the 300% revenue growth, it's okay if we get to 50% revenue growth. That still changes the business, right? And you're also able to remove shiny new object syndrome because you have a plan. You have your blinders on, and you're going straight in that direction. That's a lot more helpful to you, right? You remove the distractions, focus on the core elements of retention, your customer, right? And you hit monthly milestones and you track your progress. Every single month you have good milestones to hit. So that's the advantages of having an actual plan in place and then having the team in place that will help you implement it. Now I'm going to give you a quick sneak peek into where you are kind of, as we're about to enter 2025, where are you, what challenges are you facing on the horizon in 2025? Okay. And again, this is a small part of our 2025 customer retention playbook, which I'm going to distribute out to everyone who signed up for this webinar. I'll definitely get it out to you. But this is a sneak peek because if you don't know what challenges you're about to face, you're going to have a really challenging year. You're going to have a really challenging year. And what I'm about to share with you is backed up by data from McKinsey, Ernst & Young, Statista, Harvard Business Review, a bunch of other data sources. You'll get the playbook, you see it. And it'll show you exactly what you're up against and where you need to start filling gaps in quickly. So I'll go through this relatively quickly because I want to get to that 12-month roadmap as well. Number one, bankruptcies are at a 14-year high, right? There are about 60 bankruptcies in October. October 2024 was one of the biggest since 2020 in the number of bankruptcies. And some of the biggest ones were e-commerce brands, the brands you know and love. And the most cited reason for why Joann and The Body Shop, Bed Bath & Beyond, Express were going bankrupt is due to lack of spending by customers due to inflationary pressures and low consumer confidence. Now, that's something that happened in 2024, okay? Not saying that's going to go away in 2025, but let's assume it does not go away. Not as fast, okay? That's a macro pressure that your brand is going to be facing right now. As a result, many brands kind of pivoted. They started doing acquisition. They said, hey, let's start acquiring new customers. But customer acquisition costs have simultaneously skyrocketed by 60%, right? Much more competition. Everyone's starting an e-commerce brand now, right? You can start it pretty quickly with $10,000 to the Shopify store and this and that and whatever you need. Easy. You can drop ship stuff too, right? So there's a lot of rising ad costs that are preventing brands from making that profitable. On top of that, one and done buyers are barely profitable. Your new ones, you're squeezing the deck, right? You're giving away free returns, free for discounts, advertising, free shipping, free rewards, right? And you have very low profit from those buyers, and you're stacking the deck to acquire those one and done buyers. And 3 out of 4 of them never buy again, right? That's kind of what you're up against now in 2025. But if they made just one more purchase, imagine the potential you have on your list. You see 75% of buyers are one and done, but the jump from 2 to 3, if you get them to buy one more time, that leap is a lot more manageable, right? You can see in the graph right there. But let's talk a little bit more about the macro environment for a second, just so you know what you're up against. When you're planning out this roadmap, you need to know what your challenges are, right? So what are the macro impacts to your business that usually are probably out of your control, right? What is in your control is how you plan for it. Low consumer confidence led to increased churn, right? From Q2 2024 to Q3, customers opted to change brands and retailers to find extra discounts, right? How loyal is that? If you're not tempered, your brands, someone's offering 25%, you're offering 20%, I'm going to switch to that retailer, right? It's the only metric that's rising. It's the only retention metric that's rising quarter over quarter. Right? That's a problem because in January hits, do you have a plan to keep those customers loyal? On top of that, and I have dealt with a few brands, there's one specifically, an 8-figure brand who asked us to audit them back in March, and I gave them an amazing audit. They weren't quite ready. They didn't want to go away from their email marketer. And now in October, they're actually out of business. An 8-figure retailer who was a darling of COVID, darling of the pandemic, right? Because they had a huge amount of inventory they couldn't clear out, right? Your inventory levels are still trying to be cleared out. Am I right? You're finding that leads to more discounting of the product, higher warehousing costs, and shrinking profits. That's kind of what you're sitting on right now, most likely, which means you're left with tons of churning and unprofitable customers. That's the problem. Remember, 3 out of 4 are gone. That one person that stays, well, let's hope he stays. Keeping you up at night if he doesn't stay, right? And as we looked in the data, this is from Retail Dive, right? Wayfair, one of the biggest retailers, top 10 in the US, they struggle with differentiating themselves, making repeat purchases more difficult. Why? Because the customer was perfectly happy buying at a competing retailer just to save another 10% off, right? They're perfectly fine with doing that. So that's the mindset we're in right now. This is the customer base you're up against. So you need a plan because right now, this is the mindset of the customer. And worse, according to Harvard Business Review, you won't know about it until it's too late. Churn isn't an overnight thing. It doesn't happen. Customers leave in January and you'll find out about it in January. You'll find out about it in June, right? Because there's about a 6 to 8 months, timeline between when customers started churning until when you see the impact to your bottom line. So you need to have a plan right now. Because in January, if you don't have that plan in place, June comes along, you're shot for the holidays. You got big problems. According to Harvard Business Review, not even my opinion, right? That's the time when you learn that you actually failed your customer. And above all, from Retail Dive, if you're unprofitable and continue to be unprofitable, you're literally headed for bankruptcy, right? That's kind of what the data is showing. That's why there's a record number of bankruptcies. Companies have emerged from the pandemic, got all these one-time buyers that came in. They haven't figured out a way to keep them long-term, haven't figured out a way to wow them and delight them and build a better customer relationship with them. And that's where you're at right now. So that's a big challenge, really big challenge. So Again, I'm going to go through this relatively quickly. On the flip side, repeat customers are easier to sell to. We know that, right? 65% chance of higher chance of converting them. They're significantly more profitable. 5% increase in retention leads to 25 to 95% increase in profits, potentially. And they're worth 6 times as much as a new customer. So you really want to get that plan in place pretty quickly. And once again, small changes in retention lead to big profits in the long run. Increasing your repeat customers should be your goal for 2025 because it increases your profits, right? So our goal for this roadmap is to help you reduce churn and create unbreakable relationships. That's our goal, and that's what your goal should be in 2025. So let's get started, right? Now let's set the foundation. A little scary, right? A little scary. We kind of give you a little bit of a jar right there, right? Here's a critical step before you start planning. And I found this to be the most important shift your business can do right now. And it's why retailers and brands fail to get their planning underway. It's a mindset shift, right? You've been told sending more emails and texts will retain your customers, right? And the center of the universe is about sending more. And I've worked with hundreds of brands, dozens of retailers, 10-figure, 9-figure retailers who have that same mindset. Send more, send more, send more, send more. You got to shift that mindset because the mindset is burning your list, right? Think of it this way. You send more emails, you get a pissed off customer, that customer never buys again because they're burning your list. Worse, they even glaze over your emails, right? They're in the promotions folder. They never pay attention to it and just sending too much, right? That's what's happening, and you burn your list. And it increases churn and unsubscribes. I've seen brands right here, 3, 4 emails a day. Are we kidding me? Send more emails, right? That doesn't make sense. There must be a better way. And the great shift you need to make is to reverse your thinking, to think about customer retention and relationships, right? This is a great book, great TED Talk by Simon Sinek, which I cite all the time. Start with why, right? You got to focus on the why. You have to have a customer-centric mindset. You got to reverse the mindset to be customer-centric above all and focus on building relationships with customers digitally. And the way you do that is through email and SMS. So it's really important to just shift your mindset before you start your planning to say, we're focused on being customer-centric now, going forward, right? Retention is the art of building better customer relationships. The funnel's dead. It's all about the relationship, the flywheel approach, and you need to exist to help customers. So any correspondence, any communication you send is about helping customers. You're helpful. You're actually trying to get them to the next step. You focus on the customer, not on the sale, which are profitable, predictable, sustainable relationships. And it's scalable across dozens of channels. I'm talking about it from the retention side, but this is great for acquisition. This is great for CRO, right? This is great for customer service. You name it. All of that plays a role. So really start by focusing on building better customer relationships. How do you do that? Is you focus on connecting with customers on a one-to-one level, right? Every message you send has intent. It's intentional. There's a reason to send it. And you're being less selling, more personalizing, less talking, more listening, right? You're all about the journey. You react to what customers are telling you and you treat it like dating or courting. You have that relationship, right? It's intentional. So that's how you do it. And what do? Well, we use email and SMS because it's cheap. It's affordable. High ROI, $38 for every $1 spent. And so our goal is to send better emails, not more emails. Don't listen to anyone who says send more emails. You want to send better ones. It's about the quality of the email, not the quantity. So now we reverse it. We flip the logic, right? Instead of sending more emails and texts to make more money and be more profitable, which you just burn your list to make that happen, you'll actually build better, unbreakable, and profitable customer relationships because we focus on connecting with the person behind the inbox. So that's the mindset shift your brand needs to have. So reset your mindset and reset your strategy for 2025 to be a retention first one. That's going to help you. And I'll give a really great example of that. I myself, again, before I was a VP of retention, I was the email marketing manager, right? And I had to listen to my VP at the time, and my VP at the time, God bless her, she said, send more, send 2 emails a day, send 3. Instead of doing 1 cart abandoned email, do 3 cart abandoned emails. That was their strategy. Great year. We had an amazing year that year. But year number 2 saw us bottom out. Customers tuned us out, never bought again. We were down 30% until I was able to be promoted and change the mindset shift, right? And then we shifted, and I'll show you the results of that in a second. So yeah, we want to reverse it. Instead of send more emails, we want to focus on we're here to build better customer relationships. We do that by personalizing our communications. And the way we do that, the cheapest way is through email and SMS. So reverse the thinking. Really important first step whenever you plan anything is reverse your mindset. So let's jump right in. Let's set the 2025 goals and milestones so we can plan out our year really effectively, really strong, and do some of the heavy lifting at the first half and watch the revenue pile up in the second half. So here's kind of what we start with, right? Number one, we break it down to quarters. Q1, foundation. Build your foundation, make sure it's strong, and you have everything you need to build on, right? Number two, Q2 is test and learn. I found that if you test and learn what works really well, and you have the time to do testing and pivoting and understanding, you will actually be able to scale later in Q3, which is refine. You're able to implement some new technologies, add on AI, right? And double down on what works, sunset what doesn't work. And finally, in Q4, which is what we're in right now, is scale. Then all you need to do, now that you know your foundation is set and you know what works, and you've added in the best technologies to help refine what works, now you can invest, right, and scale. Instead of spending $10,000, you spend $100,000 on your ads, knowing that the foundation is built and you have everything on autopilot, right? So that's kind of where we're at, right? That's how we plan out by quarter, right? Our goal is to take you from runway to cruise control, right? On this roadmap, you take it from your startup, right? I said before, crawl, walk, run, fly. So Q1 foundation, Q2 test and learn, Q3 refine, and Q4 you finally have a chance to scale, right? From runway to cruise control. Now, nothing is ever on cruise control. Nothing's ever on autopilot. Things break, right? So you got to have someone to manage it and keep an eye on it. But that's the mindset, right? If a lot of things are profitable, predictable, and sustainable, that's a much better business, right? Much more predictable. Now, here's what happens when you think of it from an annual point of view and break it down into quarterly and monthly milestones. This 9-figure retailer went from $47 million a year in email and SMS revenue to $73 million in 8 months. And what was very interesting, we sent fewer messages, true to form. Send better communications, not more communications, and you'll still make more, right? Orders jumped, conversion rate jumped, clicks jumped, revenue jumped. Happier business, healthier relationships. 10-figure retailer went from $10 million a year in email and SMS revenue to $29 million in only 12 months. Same foundation, right? The percentage of revenue that came from their email program went from 6% to 12%. That means you could be more predictable that way, right? You can rely on your customers to, rise you up when the macro challenges happen, right? They're still here. They have a better relationship with you, right? That's where you want. And you're unlocking their true lifetime value. 8-figure retailer, right? Thinking a little smaller now. 8-figure retailer went from $112,000 a month to $354,000 a month in 90 days. Same philosophy. They refocused on talking at their customers, instead started by listening to their customers and reacting to what they're sharing and positioning more intentional messages in front of them, right? And that's how you actually build a better customer relationship. And again, it's another example, 8-figure brand went from $35K a month to $200K a month in one, year over year. I always compare year over year, but one of their fastest growing channels now. They were email and SMS was doing 6% of the revenue. Now they're doing 45% of revenue, right? Nothing changed. Their list wasn't doubled. Their list wasn't bigger. They just finally unlocked the revenue potential of their list. That's how they do it. So let's now start implementing, right? Let's break down those quarterly goals and annual big picture results into monthly milestones that we can hit. And the key part here is also know that there's no same roadmap, right? The roadmap that works for one brand may not work for another brand. And that's cool, right? It's flexible. You could be as flexible as you want. Start 1 month and do this challenge, start another month and do another challenge, right? That's fine, as long as you know that there's a plan in place. So Q1, I've always found it really helpful to build your foundation, right? For email, SMS, retention success. You got to build that foundation. If you don't have that foundation, I always take pictures from, a home builder, right? We all understand how to, what goes into building a home. I'm not the best at taking care of my own home, which is why I hire more people, but it's my cross to bear. But I feel you build a foundation, that it's set, right? And then you could add on more on top of it. So you got to focus on building your foundation. So step number one, when you're pre-planning, get an audit done. Just get someone to keep an eye on what's going on, right? You don't know what you don't know. So have someone audit your email SMS setup. Show you exactly where the gaps are. Does your current tech fit your goals? Ask yourself, right? Have I outgrown my email platform? Have I outgrown my CRM? Should I be looking at a CDP? Should I be looking at something else, right? What is that? What are your goals, or what do you think you've outgrown, or what are your capabilities? What do you want to focus on? I've seen some email platforms that are excellent at personalization, and I've seen some platforms that are just terrible. So if personalization is a priority for you, which it should be, focus on that and try to find the technology to help you get there. Do you have the data to make decisions? Are you ingesting all possible data? I've worked with, again, tons of brands that have a ton of data. How much data they use? Like maybe 1% of it. That's important to use, right? Personalization data is everything. And just take a look at more of the technical stuff, the deliverability stuff, right? Gmail changes and DMARC authentication, making sure your spam complaints are not over a certain level. And there's easy unsubscribe options. And just preparing for macro changes in the email, SMS, and retention environment that you should be aware of, that you may not know about, right? Again, you don't know what you don't know, right? And I don't know a lot, right? Even deliverability, always a challenge, right? So you really got to focus on knowing that there's someone out there to get an audit done and kind of level set with you. Let's say you get that audit done. Let's go to month one. What is your focus on month one? Month one, I found success. There's, again, 10-figure plan. Found success with campaign planning, right? You could plan out your entire campaign. You could plan your entire year of campaigns, right? You could do that really in January. There's no reason to wing it. How do you do that? Well, you got to, kind of prioritize what goes onto your calendar. And you could talk about seasonal campaigns and promotions and offers and evergreen and content campaigns, right? All of that can be loaded into a calendar, and it'll help you with predicting what the potential revenue you have from your program, right? And the way I piece it together is I start with the winners from last year, right? So I start with the winners from 2024, and I find which winners generate about 5 to 10% of the monthly revenue, right? We're talking like a VIP one-day sale or a Mother's Day sale or Labor Day or July 4th, right? And you double down on them, right? Because if they worked really well, adding in an extended or a last chance or an early access would be a great starting point. Just one more campaign because we know it works, right? So start with the winners. Look back what happened last year. Start with the winners. No need to reinvent the wheel, right? We're not reinventing the wheel yet. Just start with the winners right now. Step two, roll in your holiday campaigns, right? Like as I said before, there's different tiers of holidays, right? Tier one, the major holidays. Tier two, the one-day holidays. And tier three, the more endemic holidays. What does that mean? Major holidays, Labor Day, July 4th. Tier two would be like a one-day holiday, Mother's Day, St. Patrick's Day, right? Father's Day, one-day holidays. And then endemic holidays are like, there's a holiday going on. It's Hanukkah, right? For brands that are in the Jewish market. Or there's another holiday that's relevant, Easter for those who are in the Christian market, right? So there's different endemic holidays that maybe are relevant to your brand that you could double down on, right? We're going to send not just one for this holiday. We'll send maybe 2 or 3. That's starting to fill up the calendar, right? So start with the winners. Step 2, roll in your holiday campaigns. Step 3, sprinkle in evergreen emails. I found that sprinkling in communications such as the new arrivals of the month, best sellers of the month, right? Picks for you, weekend picks, deals ending this month, best of the month. All of those do really well, right? And they fill up a calendar. And the magic of it is you got to personalize that email as well. So sprinkle in those evergreen emails that you can consistently repeat month over month. That's step number 3. And then step number 4, if you're still running low on ideas and still running low on your revenue goals and still running low on kind of what will help you, get to the next level, then you can search for new ideas, right? That's just a simple Google search, right? Oh, what are some new ideas for email? Right? Well, that's okay. I've seen some terrible ideas, right? I've seen some, take your dog to work day. I've seen a drink brand say, hey, it's take your dog to work day. Why don't you take your dog to work and buy a drink? Okay, that's a stretch, but you know what I mean? It's like You don't need to search for new ideas. That shouldn't be your top priority. Focus on the winners from last year and double down on them. Sample campaign calendar right here, right? Just piece together your calendar. I have a 12-month campaign calendar that I distribute out for brands and certainly for retailers because it's a great fit. That's perfect for you guys, right? So I have a whole 12-month plan, and it requires maybe 10 to 20% customization, right? How do we customize it for your brand, right? And what other things can we add on that will be a little more relevant, right? Or content based, right? Or educational based, right? All that's part of it. So it should be easy to plan out your entire year's worth of campaigns in advance. Now, why are you doing it now? Because it's something that could, get off your frontal lobe, get off your mindset of day to day. You want to break free from that. Month 2, single source of truth, where you focus on our goal is to make data-driven decisions. Our focus is to ensure that you have the data you need to actually track stuff, right? And I found one of the biggest culprits that brands face right now is that they have too much technology, right? They have SMS provider here, email provider here, push notification here, third-party app here. Everything is all over the place. So there's no single source of truth. So take a month, organize it all. Here's where we're measuring our results. Here's where we're measuring impact. Google Analytics, maybe you're using Triple Whale, maybe you're using Shopify, maybe you're using Klaviyo, whatever it is, align on it and get your data clear, 100% clear. Go beyond email and SMS metrics too. Start building out better segments, right? Customer migrations. What's our one-time buyers look like? What do our two-time buyers look like? Are one-time buyers growing or shrinking? Are they shrinking because they're becoming two-time buyers, or they're shrinking because they're leaving? What's the cause, right? So now you have data to base it on. You have your baseline reporting, of course, for email and SMS, open rates, flows, click rates, things like that. New subscribers, unsubscribers, key sign-up sources, who's providing the best, highest quality subscriber to our list. Is it Google ads? Is it Facebook ads, right? What are the best places to come to? And again, CRM tracking. What do your customer migrations look like? Who's about to churn? Who's at risk of churn? The more insights you have, this will help fuel your entire year. And you'll see December next year, you'll look back at that data and say, wow, I have a whole year's worth of data I can look at and say what worked really well. So this is really important to get a single source of truth for yourself. Macro reporting, Google Analytics reporting. Maybe if you have a CDP, if you're in e-commerce, you have a CDP, you can afford a good CDP. I think Klaviyo has a CDP as well, right? That's an option, right? You have insights. You have insights you can make actionable. That's the key part, and that's going to be vital as we plan out the rest of the year. So that's month number 2. Month 1, campaign planning. Month 2, get your data analytics solidified. Now, what happens when you have your data and analytics solidified and you know some answers? Now we can set some retention goals, right? Now we focus on retention, right? And we want to expand beyond just mindless sending emails every single day. Campaign 1, campaign 2, campaign 3. Now we're focused on relationships, right? That's really what you want to be focusing on. Send emails to build better customer relationships. Make customer retention your highest priority. As we mentioned last, 5 minutes ago, build out your life cycle stages. Who are your new customers? Who are your active customers? Who are your churning ones? Who are at risk? Who's your dormant? Who's your non-buyers? Right? Who buys in store and online? Who buys on social and buys online? Right? There's ways to map that out and find out who buys on Amazon and buys your store. We have a brand that does it all the time, right? So build out your life cycle stages so you can predict and say, here's the state of our customer. And now what do we do about that? We just ordered a brand that had about literally 80% of their customers were one and done buyers. If they set a goal that said, I want to get that number 80% down to 75%, well, that we can work with, right? So that's our goal. That's our North Star. Go from 75 to 80. That's good. That's where we want to be, right? So you could tag them and track them even with automations, but it just focuses your energy on being more customer centric. And you can also build automations around that, right? Post-purchase, CRM upgrade, category browse, risk of churn, right? Win back, sunset, all these play a role in your building better customer relationships. So set your retention goals. Notice how, again, you can't do this until you set your data, right? Until you have a single source of truth. So now we're running in order, right? Running straight in order, setting your foundation. Q2, 2025. Now that we have our foundation set, we have our analytics, right? We have our campaign plan. Let's set Q2 for test and learn. Now you know what we want to achieve. Test and learn to get there. Really, really, really important in month 4 to start building and implementing an A/B testing roadmap. There should never be a situation where you're just mindlessly blanking out emails. At the same time, you don't just want to A/B test something that it's a one-off. I've seen brands do just a one-off A/B test. You ever done that before? With subject line test, and it works for that campaign, but you didn't really learn what works for all your campaigns, right? That's what we want to get to. Testing that shapes exactly how all your campaigns, how all your flows will work in perpetuity. So test, learn, and refine constantly. That's the goal for month 4. Build and commit to a testing roadmap. You can actually email me. I'll send you over our top 10 A/B tests for email, SMS, and retention. We have a whole roadmap and a whole structure behind how we do it, and run real tests. Like I said before, not just one-offs. That you want to have a good sample size. You want to have a good hypothesis there. Great example of that is like I could run a subject line test on a New Year's clearance email, right? But what does that do me for February? Instead, my hypothesis should be, what emotions do my customers respond to? FOMO, gratitude, or luck, right? And then roll that out for 8 campaigns. See what they respond to. Oh, okay, I know all my copy should now be written in gratitude. Perfect. That's actionable month over month. Great A/B tests I have in my roadmap are creative testing, subject line testing, right? Send time optimization, a great one, not many people use. Segment testing, which segments provide the biggest lift for your brand. We do that all the time. Third-party tools. Maybe you have another app or provider you're using right now. Start testing them. See if there actually is incrementality. Really important to do that. Test over 8 campaigns, right? Send to the winners, and then commit to the data. Really important to step back and commit and say, you know what? We committed. We found out what worked. We're not going back, right? We're going forward. That's it. So commit to the data once you have it. Real testing, a real roadmap, and real learnings. Great example here that we rolled out. And again, ignore the creatives here. I say that every time. I should probably get this one redesigned anyway by our designer. But just to make it a very visual comparison of what the impact of testing looks like, right? Here's a brand that we work with that was doing a one-day sale, right? And they used to do a batch and blast, static one-day sale for everyone. Go ahead. They sent out their, this wasn't in their full list. This is like, 1/4 of the list, 617,000 emails. And they made about $109,000 from one email. Right? Good brand, right? 9-figure brand. And we came in and said, well, you're doing this batch and blast version. Well, let's look at the data. Let's look at what we're learning and how do we segment and personalize, which is our strategy: segmentation, personalization, automation, multiplication. And we created for them 6 different versions by brand, right? They bought a brand: Canon, Nikon, Apple, Sony. And then one that shows what customers are browsing right now. And then one batch, standard static version, okay? 6 different templates in one email. We have a strategy for that, right? Sent out that email. When you dedupe everyone and sent to the engaged population, it was actually only half the population from the static one, 50% fewer emails. And it made 70% more revenue, $190,000 in sales, right? So before the static version, 670,000 emails, $109K in sales. Our version, 280,000 emails, 190,000 sales, right? Send fewer performs better. That's what happens when you test. We don't know this until we test. What happened now? After that, we rolled it out every single month. Done. We know what works, right? That's how we hit 300% revenue growth for brands, right? That's exactly it. You test, learn, and refine. So got to start with testing. If you're not testing, you're not learning. You're not learning, you're not refining. Month 5 now. Now that you did your testing, right? While your testing is going on, upgrade your automations. Small incremental changes equal huge incremental revenue wins. Okay. Again, why now? Why month 5? Why not month 1? Well, number 1, you have a goal already for month 1. But month 5, you have information, right? You're testing in month 4. You're learning what's working. I want to test my subject lines in my cart abandoned. You have a good month of learnings there. And then you can upgrade them, right? And you just turn it on or run another test, right? Scope out new or optimized automations as well. Optimize your out-of-the-box flows. There are brands that turn on these out-of-the-box Klaviyo flows or send lane flows or, OmniSend flows, and they're just so pedestrian, right? They're basic, very entry level, not very personalized. Optimize them, because small little changes lead to huge revenue wins. And again, use the data you have in Q1 to get buy-in, especially if you're a retailer. You want to ask your boss or your CMO or talk to brands out there who you're selling, right? And just get buy-in that this is a good path. And it's more helpful when you have the data, trust me. And you could implement new automations, category browse, transactional emails, account-based emails, order notifications through SMS, right? Post-purchase hourglass, a great approach, right? How do we turn our CRM goals, our retention goals, and create a whole different post-purchase experience? All that is in the upgrade your automations. Another thing I didn't list here, but is super important. Don't just think of email as in a silo, right? Think of it like, how do we incorporate SMS? How do we incorporate Meta? How do we incorporate Google? How do we incorporate TikTok, customer service, phone calls, right? How do we mailings? How do we incorporate all this into our big picture strategy? And that is how you upgrade automations and really take it to the next level. I always recommend, again, when you think about automations and think about which ones are going to be providing the biggest lift for you, right? You have your abandons. Just think about the upgrade. Most brands, I just talking to another brand yesterday, that they were doing checkout abandon because that's all anyone told them about. There's checkout abandon. Oh, people abandon their cart at checkout. Let's put it on. But people abandon their cart before they get to checkout. So there's a whole separate automation we can run for that. We could run another one for browse abandon. We could run another one for search abandon if you have the functionality. People who are searching for a product, retarget them on their search. People who are abandoning your website. So many different ways to do this, right? And just upgrading your automations and having the mindset that says, you know what? I want to make sure that I'm being more helpful to customers, and positioning our brand at the top of their mind to be helpful changes your business. So month 5 is when you upgrade your automations based on the data you learned in month 2 and the testing you've performed in month 4. That's how you do it. Month 6, now is when we focus a little bit more on the product side, right? Before you were more customer centric, and that's really important. Now let's find some incrementality on the product side. Product triggers, right? Blend your customer centric strategy with a product centric strategy, right? Identify the right product data, not the most. Keep it flowing. There's so much product data. You have your variables, your attributes, your sizes, your colors, and all those attributes of your product, right? Focus on what's really actionable and put that into a trigger, right? And high performing triggers, for example, are back in stock, low in stock, new arrivals, replenishment, great for replenishment, review submissions. All that is really great and really important to also, you can turn this on for people who are viewing a product, have it in cart, start checkout, as well as people who would be a good fit for, right? I'll give a great example of this. We used to sell, one of the retailers I worked with used to sell Apple AirPods, but the Apple AirPods were not in stock yet, right? They just launched a new one, not in stock. So they couldn't sell to anyone. And they had this little form on their page that said, sign up if you'd like to know more. And their sign up was like, 100 people. But people who viewed the AirPods was like 1,000 people, right? It's only 1% signed up for it, or 10%. I forgot the number, right? 10% signed up for it. But that's 1,000 people they can retarget, not just the 10%, right? So there's opportunity there when you have the data to target more higher intent audiences. So focus on product triggers. I think it's a great one to focus on month 6. Now that you have the data from the testing done from month 5. Month 4. Okay, we're slowly getting down there, right? Q3 2025, now that we've done all our testing and refining and learning, now is when we refine and invest. We found our winners. We've done the testing, we found our winners, and we double down on what works and sunset what doesn't. Really important to remind yourself, remove what doesn't. If it's not worth it, don't do it, right? Remember, we're here to build better customer relationships, not send more emails. You'll go broke that way. So month 7 is when you have an opportunity to invest in your tech, your tools, and your apps. Great time. Now your shiny new object syndrome can come into play, right? Now is when you avoided it all year long, which is good because you had a plan. Now is when you start saying, you know what? There's these new apps I'd like to try. Why do I like to try it now? Because it will bring me to another level, right? There's another stage to get to. I'm showing exactly, we have some vendor relationships we work with on all these little areas. I'll give a great example of one, right? Identity resolution. I work with retention.com. They're great at identity resolution, right? If I can get more cart abandons to be identified, let's add that in to your program. But am I going to do that? I won't do that yet until I know which templates perform though, right? So there's no point in adding more if I don't know the baseline about how many people are getting it and how our templates are performing to make sure you maximize the ROI, right? So I wouldn't do that now until month 7. So we have clients coming in month 7 and saying, let's do it. And you want to focus on non-duplicative, right? You don't want to add on tech that you don't need. I've seen some SMS providers add in some tech, and hey, let's add an SMS provider. I heard there's great things about this third-party app. Okay, well, does your current provider do it? Well, yeah. I don't know how, I don't know how it does. Well, why don't you try it? Try it out. See how it works. Get a baseline. Figure out if the other technology has some other new upgraded features. Well, now we know what to measure it up against, right? And you can always mix and match, go back and forth. But again, month 2, single source of truth. You're going to get messed over if you try to analyze the data on 2 different platforms. So yeah, really important to know, add in the right tech, not the most tech. And there's so many different technologies. I won't go through all of them here. So many great technologies that will help enhance your performance. So focus on those. Month 8, utilize AI and predictive, right? You want to focus on saying, you know what, now we have a good baseline how our campaigns are performing, good opportunity with our flows. Let's get a little more advanced in our segmentation and personalization. Test new AI tools, tech and apps from month 6 and 7, right? Continue to test. You have new apps, new tech, try them out, kick the tires, see how they're performing. You can go more advanced segmentation using predictive data. Who's most likely to buy? Who's most likely to churn? Who's most likely to unsubscribe, right? You could use predicted customer lifetime value. Who's predicted to spend more with me? Let's send the communication that will get them to do that, right? Not sale, not throw them back into sale. Let's figure out a way to get those customers to spend more with a more personalized approach, right? That's the magic of it. And you can use machine learning for dynamic products and automations. You have it on your site, right? Machine learning tells you which products to show a customer. If you don't have it, you should get it, right? They're smarter than us in some cases, right? So use that. You can utilize that in your email campaigns, in your SMS, and in really everything for your store. So month 8, great time to utilize AI and predictive. Month 9, this is the next month. Focus on list growth and hygiene. Remember, we're in the quarter of refine and invest. So now we want to focus on investing. Invest in list growth and hygiene, right? Our goal is to maximize list growth and improve your CAC, customer acquisition costs. And it's also a great opportunity to start working with other channels. Like I said before, freelancers and email marketers tend to make everything about email, right? It's about the email. It's not. It's about a rising tide lifts all ships. We can work together, right? No enemies here, no frenemies, right? So focus on what will help our acquisition strategy using our current email SMS retention setup. I can't tell you how many brands I've literally implemented our new customer list and built out our segments and powered it over their Facebook ad team and their Google ad team to say, hey, build lookalikes off this, build customer match off it, because you have high-performing customers. Let's find more of them, right? The flywheel effect. And it helps with the journey, your customer journey. Great example. If a customer abandons their cart, what are we trained to think? Send an email, right? Everyone's doing it. Send an email. Why don't you send that segment over to Facebook, let them run an ad to that retargeting after 7 days, after the emails and texts go, right? Therefore, no double dipping, right? Lots of ways to think it through the customer journey. You could test landing pages and offers. You can nurture affiliate relationships, partnerships that get more emails, get more customer files in your list, and corporate influencers, right? Get more data, turn those social followers into someone who's actionable, that you could own that relationship, right? Earned media to owned media. That's really what you want to focus on. And the cool thing about just zeroing on test landing pages and offers is that you can test an offer on your email list, right? You have a 100,000 member email list, test your offer out. Once you find which offers work really well, send that offer over to Facebook and Google. Let them run the high-performing offer. No need to wing it. No need to wing it, right? If you're not doing it, do it now. Final quarter, right? And I'm going to kind of go over this relatively quickly because we're in this quarter right now, right? So you kind of know exactly what to do. But Q4, now is when you scale and succeed. Now is when you put your best performers to work, right? Q1, you have your data, you have your foundation built. Q2, you've tested what works and you've learned what works. Q3, you refined them, invested in them, and added on the technologies that will help you maximize them. Q4 is when you turn on that autopilot, right? You pump up the gas. You hit it up, right? You invest more. You scale and succeed because now's the time. Get more orders, right? You're inviting everyone into the home now. You built your home. You have the foundation. You've decorated. You built it up. Now you invite everyone to the home, and that's where the sales come in, right? So month 10, focus on holiday planning. Plan your Q4 in advance. What we've done it with you. We've done our past webinars. The top 1% plan their Q4 in June. So you're pretty much behind already, but you know what? You have a good foundation though, right? So plan out your entire Q4 in advance, promotional planning, holiday calendar, Black Friday weekend plan, making sure your holiday playbook is set, your creatives are set, your technology, do another quick audit of your tech, making sure they're all working at peak performance. When is the code freeze? When do they stop, enhancing or opening tickets, right? Or responding to tickets? What's your inventory and merchandising look like? All that is in month 10, your holiday planning. Okay, this is super important because Q4 should be dedicated to how do we get holiday buyers to buy twice and how do we maximize the profits of them so they never leave for the rest of the year. So if we're still in Q4 right now when we're doing this webinar, you can actually keep thinking about that, right? How do I get my customers who came on Black Friday and Cyber Monday or in October to continue to buy now and also in 2025? You can see my strategy at blackfridayplaybook.com. Right, I have a whole plan for you, so you can get that there. I've been promoting it all quarter long. BlackFridayPlaybook.com, really insightful use for you. We have a whole plan there. I won't belabor it because we're kind of past Black Friday, but it helps you with Q4. And month 11, right, we're all about Black Friday, BFCM War Room, right? Kind of make sure that you are set for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, 80-20 rule, right? Majority of revenue comes from your Black Friday, Cyber Monday in November, right? So how do you expand it, right? How do you maximize the potential of that 5-day weekend? And again, the goal is to get holiday buyers to buy twice. So don't just think about those one-time Black Friday buyers. Think about how do I get them to buy again? Maybe a gift card, right? Maybe rewards, things like that. Focus on winning sales early. Work backwards from fulfillment. What is your shipping deadlines so you don't, annoy people? Create a multi-channel strategy. Optimize your holiday templates, right? Multi-channel means making sure that your templates and creatives are aligned on email, SMS, Meta, Google, right? Thinking about all channels. Rising tide lifts all ships. Dynamic everything, right? It's less about what you want to sell and it's more about what customers want to buy. If you keep talking about what you're selling, you're not listening to what customers want to buy. You lose the sale. Roll out your Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend plan. And another key one, focus on holiday buyers from last year, right? They may not have bought in the whole year, but everyone's buying during the holidays. The question is, will they buy from you? So focus on that segment too. So that's month 11. Again, we just passed that. And month 12, here we are. Already you're planning out 2026, right? Just what we're doing right now. But this time you're coming more prepared. You know what your vision is. You know what your goals are, and you know what strategy works. You're able to measure your key KPIs over last year because you built it in Q1, right? You can go beyond revenue because you focused on customer retention in month 3. You can look at the annual business review, share with your team, your agencies, your freelancers, whoever you're working with. You know the state of the business from the ownership. You do another audit of your tech, making sure they're at peak performance for your goals in 2026. You have maybe a state of customer report. How are your customers doing? Have we actually got them to migrate to the next level? Are they healthier? Better lifetime value? And then once again, you join my webinar because we talk about a 12-month future strategy and goals, right? And you should be doing this with every single agency who does acquisition or SEO or CRO. You should be doing that with everyone. And then again, create a whole new roadmap for 2026, which is again, what we're doing on this video. There you go. That's your roadmap. That's your 12-month, 10-figure roadmap that I've rolled it out. Now, what are the results you can expect? Well, I've shared some of them. I'll just kind of repeat some of them, but here's what the planning and implementing it correctly leads to. What are the revenue impact for your business? I showed you before, 9-figure retailer went from $47 million a month to $47 million a year to $73 million in 1 year, in 8 months, using this plan, right? Using this holiday plan, using this 12-month, I'm a little blurred here, 12-month roadmap, right? That's what it comes down to. You have a plan and you're implementing it month by month, tracking it, hitting some milestones. Best of all, you're sending fewer messages, making a lot more money and improving the customer relationship. Check that out. 41% higher orders. 41% higher orders. That means customers are buying more often because they trust you and like you. 10-figure retailer, again, went from $10 million a year to $29 million a year in only 12 months. It only took a year because we have a plan. There's the plan in place. 8-figure retailer I talked about before, 90 days in 1 quarter by shifting their mindset, $112K a month to $354K a month in 90 days. Done, right? There's case studies on my website. You can actually watch them. And again, the 8-figure brand went from $35K to $200K a month in Q2 2023 just by saying, you know what? We need to get serious about our relationships because customers are churning because we're facing macro challenges that aren't going away. And we better start keeping our customers before they bail on us. A lot of reviews for our 10-figure strategy. I won't belabor it. You can check them out on our website, but it definitely works for brands of all sizes, certainly for retailers, DTC brands that are really serious about change, right? It definitely works. And it's a strategy shift, right? It's a mindset shift. That's really what the value I bring to the table. It just has to, you got to shift your mindset away from what everyone else is talking about. Now, I gave you the plan. We gave you the roadmap. I've shown you the results. I showed you the macro challenges. Let's talk one last time about why your brand fails to get this plan together. Here's exactly what's holding you back. It's going to be really important to rethink what held you back last year, what's held you back the year before. Because I saw the amount of brands that registered for this webinar, I think about 30%, no, I won't say 30%, maybe 20% of them were brands I've seen before. What stopped them last year from implementing this? What stopped them the year before from implementing this? I know exactly what's stopping them because I was on your side of the table. And I know what stopped me from implementing it in my first 2 or 3 years in that email SMS retention space. Here's what stopped me, right? One of the 3 types of marketers that help implement this plan, right? We talked about before. You have Joe Freelancer. You have the email marketer who makes everything about email. Send more, send more, send more, and burn your list. And then you have the retention experts, right? So again, the freelancer doesn't really do much, right? They do whatever they tell you to do. The email marketer sends more at the expense of your list, at the expense of your customers, just to make everything about email. But retention experts understand all things retention. I talked about in the last slide, but here's a brand, right, that just said very clearly, found a freelancer on Upwork, quickly realized I was wasting my time and money. They'll drain on your time. But when you see someone that has a plan and implements it, that's where we found the results. Agencies also tend to hire, they tend to experiment. If they don't know what they're doing, they're glorified copywriters or glorified coders, or they know an ESP, an expert, right? They're going to experiment on your list. They're going to experiment on your customers. I don't think you can afford that. Not in 2025, you can't, right? Can't afford it. This brand, this retailer also said, can't afford it. But when I had someone who didn't, had no guesswork and had proven frameworks, that's when we saw growth, right? Another one here, email marketers just don't get that foundation right. You're building the foundation on a bunch of, on sand, right? It's not set. And when they come into when you're trying to build something on a broken foundation, it never takes off, right? There's this 8-figure portfolio of brands right here said the same thing, right? Email foundation was never there. I kept hiring people to help me, but it just never got off the ground until I met you, right? Their foundation just was never built. That's what's holding you back. And the mass amount of attention people give to coders and freelancers, email marketers, there's just so many out there. There are a dime a dozen. But if you find the strategists, the ones who really focus on retention and understand strategy and are experts in it, that's where you find the major results. 80-20, right? Find that 5%, that 10%, the 20% of marketers who get it. And I had to look for it myself, right? That's why we create our agency. Then you'll find 80% of the results unlocked from your list. Comes down to real world experience, proven frameworks, zero guesswork, understands the power of connecting to the person behind the inbox, not send more stuff, high level strategy, high level tactics like this roadmap, right? Assist in solving the customer journey, prioritize lifetime value, and really at the end of the day, treats customers like theirs, right? I treat customers like yours. I treat your customers like mine, right? Exact same thing, right? Proven frameworks at the end of the day. Wow. Okay, we're about at time here, right? Let's recap what we've learned on this 2025 email SMS retention strategy roadmap webinar. So number one, I've shared market data on the critical importance of planning your year in advance. Market data, right? 2025 is coming in, gangbusters, really bad insights, e-commerce bankruptcies, unprofitability, rising ad costs. There's a better way. There's a better way. I've highlighted the macro challenges you're facing in 2025 that planning will solve, giving you a whole roadmap, right? I've revealed a proven 10-figure email SMS retention roadmap that will scale your brand. Proven results, right? 10 month by month by month, implemented, great. You're going to be in a great place come this time next year. I've helped you identify what's holding you back from succeeding from this framework, okay? A strategy is one thing. Implementing it is another. Implementation is everything. How do you implement it quickly and effectively? And I'm about to share with you how to fast track your brand to success immediately to start 2025. So here's how to implement this 2025 plan in minutes and start 2025 off profitably, avoid bankruptcy, like you saw, and keep your customers for a lifetime. I always give this offer. At the end of this webinar, it's really important to know that we run your email and retention program, and we do SMS for free, entirely for free, right? Not your technology, but we manage your entire SMS strategy. So you have a 10-figure email strategy, and you have a 10-figure SMS strategy, and you have a 10-figure retention strategy, which I just shared with you, right? As retention experts, we're obviously investing our efforts into making sure your brand has that retention mindset. It's not all about send more email, send more email, send more email. It's about what's the journey look like? And we invest in that and back it up by showing exactly how we give you another channel absolutely for free because we want to help you build better relationships with your customers, right? That's exactly the goal behind it. And as I said before, this brand here implemented, we're doing it for free. They add SMS. SMS went from $1,000 a month to $12K a month in 90 days. And it's absolutely free because it's about the relationship. And we do it for free. And their email program is also growing like gangbusters as well, right? So that's the magic behind this offer is that we say, you know what? We're not going to give you money back or zero this or that. We have proven frameworks. I'm a VP of retention, right? I'm here to give you the framework of the top 10-figure brands. What matters is investing in the channels so you have a better relationship with your customers. 8-figure retailer grew SMS from 0 to 20K a month in 30 days, in 1 month. This happened to be in January 2024. They turned on SMS with this free offer, and it started seeing a massive increase in revenue because we were building better relationships across 2 channels right there. And at the end of the day, proven 10-figure frameworks, zero guesswork. That's why we work with retailers and brands like yours, because we have the framework that works and keeps your customers coming back for more, reduces the risk, reduces the guesswork, and reduces your churn quickly, right? We have 10-figure frameworks. On top of that, I always say, we have exclusive partnerships with some of the vendors that will help us accelerate this as well. I showed that in the last slide, way back there. Lots of relationships with retention vendors that will help you because retention is a journey and it's more than just email SMS, right? A rising tide lifts all ships. So that's another value that we bring to the table that you just won't find from a freelancer, right? You just won't find from someone who just says send more emails. It just doesn't work that way, right? This is a better approach to your marketing. Start with a free expert email SMS retention audit, right? That's what we're offering right now, showing hundreds of brands where the retention gaps are, how to close them, what the revenue potential is when you do close them, and how we do that for you. So start with a free audit. We've compared our audit to other, freelancers, agencies, retention experts out there. I'm proud to say it's one of the best, according to Craig right here. It's an amazing audit that'll help you get to the next level. You can actually scan this QR code and watch as my audit unlocks $200,000 in just 15 minutes for an 8-figure brand. It's insightful, right? It'll give you insight about what you can expect on that audit, give you a behind-the-scenes look at it. A really great way to start. And remember, this is the start of your roadmap. You don't know what you don't know. Start with a free audit to get off the ground. Before audit, this brand was at $170,000 a month in revenue, right? Then they accelerate after the audit to $602,000 a month from this audit. And again, SMS was done for free for them. 2 channels, 2 10-figure strategies, 1 retention mindset, 1 strategist helps them help that brand get to the next level. And that's really what you want to have in 2025. Avoid churn, avoid bankruptcy, avoid risk. My final as I promised at the beginning, go to blackfridayplaybook.com, get this for free. $13,000 worth of value, my entire content library available for free. You can get it, and we're adding more to it as we go. And I will share with you after this as well our customer retention playbook for 2025. So a lot of great stuff. Thank you for joining me on this webinar. Hope you got a lot of value out of it, right? You have the strategy at your fingertips. To recap, I've given you the top 10-figure email SMS retention strategy roadmap that the top brands are using right now. I've shown you how to break it down quarterly, and then with kind of like quarterly benchmarks, how to break it down even deeper into monthly goals, and then how to implement it quickly, right? Using retention experts, not the freelancers or the glorified specialists, but actually using retention experts to help you get there. I'm sensing 2025 will be a great year for your brand and a great year to make this your year, right? To be a super profitable, super high performing year, and you will keep customers for a lifetime. And it all starts with that roadmap. So really thank you for joining. Really appreciate you being here. And I will see you on the next webinar. Thanks so much.